Think your lashes have hit their limit? Discover limitless length and full volume with Maybelline Sky High Mascara. The Flex Tower brush bends to volumize and extend every single lash from root to tip. And the lightweight bamboo-infused formula makes lashes feel weightless. Now in 8 bold shades so you can take your lashes to new heights every day. Visit Maybelline.com to shop Sky High Mascara now.
When evaluating potential hires for your small business, it's essential you look beyond resumes. Sure, a candidate may appear impressive on paper, but understanding the person is crucial. LinkedIn, the world's largest professional network, provides a complete view of your candidate's skills, experiences, and interests. With LinkedIn's up-to-date data, you can be confident that you really know who you're hiring. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
Appreciate you spending half an hour with me.
Absolutely, no bother, yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to people making art and prioritizing it when there's a lot of pressure. We were just chatting outside that you grew up in Southwest Ireland and moving to Dublin was like a big change. And you were saying how like that was like almost like a break of like, I don't want to put, you said it to me, but like fears? Is that right?
Yeah.
How do you say that?
Well, like I only really knew Dublin as a child through going up for Gaelic football matches.
Yeah.
My brother, who's 7 years older than me, I only have one brother. He's like quite famous down in Kerry because he used to play for the Kerry football team.
Okay.
And like he's a few like All Ireland medals and everything. He's
right.
A great athlete, footballer. So when I was very, very young, from when I was very young to when I was like a teenager, we used to go up and watch him play in Croke Park, the big stadium in Dublin. And so all I knew for years about Dublin was the area around Croke Park, which I love Dublin. Like I love every part of it. Around Croke Park's particularly colourful. And as a child, I was like, geez, Dublin is insane.
Yeah.
This is a crazy place. So I always was like, my God, if I ever moved to Dublin, like it would be really cool, but it would be really crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do you know what? That's where all the gigs are. I'm moving to Dublin. And then I moved up to Dublin and I realised it's actually bigger than Croke Park. So that was the big shock. But no, the main thing was, you know, it's a big city coming from kind of where I come from, and the big city, you know, looms large. So when I moved there, it took me only a few months to kind of fit in.
Yeah.
And then the scene is so great there, the music scene, that I just made friends really quickly in music, got into like the trad scene, the Irish traditional music scene there. And it's just, it's a fantastic place, especially at the moment, like all the stuff that's coming out of there. So it's a lot bigger than that football stadium I've discovered, you know.
I grew up near Watford, which is like a small town northwest of London. It's where Elton John's from. Elton John.
Oh yeah.
He was the chairman of Watford Football Club.
Yeah.
And George Michael's also from there.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
And going to Watford, I went to the football games before I'd ever been to a gig. And I look back now, a lot of years later, and I'm like, oh, I think that's where I got the bug, because you go to a football game and it's all these different people. They all look different. They're all from a different economic situation to you are, but they're all there for the same reason as you. And I think a bit of pseudo psychology here, but I think I found that in music. You know, I'm like, oh, it's all these people who are from different backgrounds, but we're all here for the same reason. And I found a lot of like enjoy, like just like belonging in that. Yeah,
absolutely, and like-minded people as well.
Yeah,
and that's really important. And if you're creating anything, like to find people who are also striving for the same things you are, it just helps everyone.
For sure,
it helps you strive more. And there's never felt like there's been any competition in Dublin. I don't think, in the scenes I've been moving in anyway. There's just this really like healthy, just utter encouragement, really, and digging everything else that's around you, which is not hard to do when everything is great, you know, which is kind of the case in Dublin. Like, there's so much great stuff.
I think self-expression is really key, and you know, it's a fucking mad world out there. I do think that if people were able to express themselves a bit more clearly and like felt like they had permission to express themselves, I think that would make for a better world.
Yeah, like you've things like Twitter, I suppose, which I deleted a while ago, but where it was literally built around not being able to say any more than 140 characters. That is a recipe for disaster, like, because like, you know, when you're short with someone, so somebody asks you a question.
Not bad memories here, yeah.
Somebody asks you a question and you're like, go away from me. Yeah, it's like, stop. Or like, can I get that? You can't.
Yeah.
All right, you no need to be so short with me. Like, Twitter was built so that people had to be short with each other. Yeah. And then that leads to like short discourse. So then you're either on one side or the other, and things like that, black or white, you know, up or down. And that doesn't help any sort of a discourse at all, you know.
For sure.
And it makes people go further into more extreme angles of like points of view where they mightn't have otherwise if something was explained to them more, if they weren't like if they weren't abused with an F off or something. Can I curse?
Yeah.
With a fuck off or something. And these things, it's just people being short with each other leads to a lot of anger. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from, is like online discourse being short.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's when you're short and where there's like when everything gets narrower and narrower, it's kind of, I like things to get wider and wider, at least in my life. You know, in like things I listen to or things I watch or the conversations that I have.
Totally, And
I think that comes into, like, I make this show, I don't make music, but I wonder if that comes into making music, that you want to make your world wide.
Yeah.
You want to open the window as such, as far as you can, to let the light in, let new experiences come in.
Totally, yeah. And just be honest as well, and stretch out ideas, and just, I mean, you're trying to express yourself, but also trying to touch people's minds or whatever, or trying to connect with people or find like-minded people through your expression. And doing that through a song is like, if you get it right, it can be a very powerful way of doing that. Do you
remember the first time that you did that, or you felt like you were doing that to like a meaningful degree, where you're like, oh, I think I've touched myself or other people? Like, was there a moment for you where you felt that?
Well, yeah, like, I can't remember exactly when or where, but it was maybe more of a gradual thing. Maybe one of the first times, like, I had a headline show in Dublin. I remember there's a small pub called Unshaw in Dublin. And upstairs in Unshaw, there's a tiny little room. It's still one of my favourite venues in the city to go to a gig. It's tiny. You'd fit 40 people in there and it would be rammed, you know, that kind of place. Yeah. I put on my first ever headline show there like a month into, or something crazy like that, 2 months into moving to Dublin.
Like, you were the promoter and you were the
everything,
headliner.
Yeah.
And you were the flyer.
Exactly. Yeah, everything. And I kind of realised people were responding to the stuff. Even though it was mainly, you know, obviously friends and stuff that I had made from college or whatever. But I realised, geez, people are kind of responding to this music, and people were kind of singing along in certain parts and being really quiet in other parts. That was the first time I'd experienced that. And I was like, geez, this is coming back to me now. I've been giving it out and now it's coming back to me.
Did that change things for you? Because like, there is a shift there that maybe you can only really identify or talk about retroactively, where you're like, oh, I started taking I'm kind of I'm fascinated by this idea of like taking yourself seriously, like taking art seriously, because it's not something we're really grown up with. I mean, at least I didn't grow up with. I mean, in Ireland there's a lot more trad music, but where I'm from, if you played in a band, you're a bit of a joke until you weren't, you know. And so that kind of transitionary period I'm interested in, because it's how you look at yourself, right? It's how you see yourself in the mirror. Yeah,
totally. Like, similar, like where I'd be from, there'd be you know, Irish trad music would be played and things like that, but I was never really too exposed to that, actually. Really spent most of my time in the town, Killarney. That's where I went to school and stuff. It's mainly cover bands there. So when I first got really into music,
money in that.
Great money, but for the price of your soul, some would say. But no, you know, it was great to just learn how to be on a stage or whatever, or like play in front of large crowds, but that was about it for me. Like, and even those two things, I could argue that they hindered rather than helped. But so when I was like 15, 16, 17, those years, I was like, I played the keyboard as well as the guitar, and I decided to choose the keyboard to play these cover gigs so that I could keep the guitar to myself and keep developing that. So on the keyboards, I'd play around in cover bands and started making my money off that. But the downside to that, the huge downside to that was like, I really thought that was the only way you could gig. And I was like, I had all these ideas I was doing in the meantime on my own and developing on my own. And then I had to go in and play Sweet Caroline on the piano, you know, to load of very, very drunk people who aren't even listening, that kind of thing.
Right.
But
did that have that effect of like, you know, it's kind of humbling's one way to say it, but you know.
Yeah, like it's good for that, I suppose. Yeah, and it makes you really, really appreciate then when you play somewhere and people are just listening, like, you know. And I think the major upside of kind of starting out doing them kind of gigs, where I kind of ended up feeling really, really trapped and just unable to express like myself, and that was the straitjacket there. I think though it gave me a gratitude for whenever I'm expressing myself and people are listening, even if it's 500 people or if it's one person, like it's just somebody is listening, and that's massive. Like, and I've never lost that gratitude. I think
it's interesting. Something we need things to compare. We need a shot at a time to compare the good times.
Absolutely, and to remember, you know, that like you could be kind of playing to a brick wall basically, but there are actually people giving you the energy you're giving out back again, you know. It's
when
great.
you first started recording Junior Brother stuff, and by the way, I didn't know that thing about your brother being quite a well-known footballer, so you really are the junior brother.
I am, indeed I am. There's a friend of mine from back home who I got to know through school, but more so when I was in college. I was in college for a little bit in UCC in Cork. Basically all of my year were just lifted up out of secondary school and planted down into UCC. So I made no friends at the short time I was there. They were all just from Killarney. There was one guy there who like is like one of my biggest influences, like on my lyrics.
What's his name?
But he's never picked up a musical instrument or like written anything. But I've told him, like, you know, you're a poet, you know, and he's like, what? Fuck off. Anyway, so like things like that, you know, hearing like kind of people speaking without you know, having any pretension as well, like
without putting that guy on the spot. Do you want to say his name?
Shane Reen. I have a song called Hungover at Mass, and some of that is me actually trying to do an impression of him. So if he's listening to this, thank you, Shane, for the inspiration.
Awesome.
He's a great way with words, like, you know. I thought the only way to make music, the only way to make money out of music, was to play covers in bars as like a guy in the background playing the keyboard.
You're the entertainment.
You're like background entertainment. And that was the only way I thought you could make money off music. And then when I started doing my own thing, it was again just to express all these ideas I had to people who wanted to hear it. And then because of that, I suppose it might be an overly naive kind of way of coming at it, because I really didn't think about money at all, like, until other people came in and helped me with that stuff. So like when I moved to Dublin, just to start gigging more and properly kind of go at it, the music career, I was just like taking any gig at all, anywhere I could do my own stuff and develop my sort of craft, you know. So because of that, I wasn't really thinking of making money. So I ended up doing a bit of tour guiding on the side.
Oh yeah. My partner's a tour guide in London.
Oh yeah, really?
She loves it.
Yeah.
She loves it.
It's really good. Like it's what's great about tour guiding, if you're maybe a performer, but definitely for me as a musician, because I've the band now, Band of Legends, by the way, Dan Walsh and Tony McLaughlin, who are just over there. Shout out, lads. When I started like walking out on my own onto stages, I was like, people are looking at me. Why are people looking at me? Kind of thing. And then that feeling, I was like, what the hell do I do with this feeling? And then I got a job as a tour guide just because I was desperate to make money. So then I fucking had to do that without a guitar, without anything. Maybe it's a bit like being a stand-up comic or something, except when I was a tour guide, I was not funny at all. I talking about the Great Irish Famine, actually, so not a lot of jokes in there. But you just have to be in front of people, and you live or die by kind of feeling out the energy of a group of people. And that was hugely important for me as a solo act on stage on my own. I just thought it was great. Like when I'd be off the stage, I'd still be in front of people all the time. And again, living or dying by how the energy is in the room.
Yeah.
And that was really important in getting me comfortable just on a stage, being in front of people. You know?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense because there is an energy, you know, whether you're talking to one person or 5 people or 50 people, like there is an energy that you respond to.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. And you become friends with that energy, I think. Even through just gigging on my own for so long, you just get to know that energy and you don't fear it. You just get to like it a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
is that immersion therapy? What do you call it? Like something therapy, where you're just like facing the fear, you know, you're scared of spiders. Get 10 spiders on you. Yeah,
like I'm a celebrity, kind of stick the hand into the thing and there's a tarantula on the other side. Yeah, for sure. That's what it was like. Or like just diving in kind of thing, you know. And like if it wasn't for that, you know, part-time that I had with the tour guiding, that I wouldn't, I don't know, like I don't think I'd have as much confidence on stage, like, you know, maybe. You know, I was working in Tesco when I first moved to Dublin. I was working in the bakery section in Tesco, and I was living miles out of Dublin, like miles. I was living somewhere, it was beside the M50 motorway, and it was a place that was like between 4 different places in Dublin, so it didn't really even have an address. And the nearest building was Clover Hill Prison, which is a high security prison. So I was living out there. Bakeries open quite early, you know, so I had to be in there for 6 a.m, which meant I had to get up at 3:45 in the morning. Every morning, which is pretty bad, but it's worse when you consider the fact that the first bus into town was at 6 a.m. So
how are you getting in?
Well, I told them that at the interview. They were like, so you have to be in here for 6. I was like, it takes me like at least 2 hours to get in.
2 hours?
Yeah, around that, like an hour and a half, I mean, something like that. But then a long walk up the street to Tesco, and I was like, so I'm gonna be like late, like, and they were like, yeah, that's fine. That's grand. You're hired. I was like, oh, all right. Thanks very much. And the first day, like, I came in and I just started, as soon as I walked in, I just was getting roared at by the bakery.
Okay.
By all the
So
the
it wasn't
staff.
all right.
It wasn't all right at all. Because a bakery, things need to be fresh at a certain time. So you actually need to come in before opening hours.
Yeah.
Would have been great if somebody told me that. There was a load of like stuff that was half frozen that needed to be finished off. And that takes a half an hour. So lost that job pretty quickly. Didn't really work out. But then I just fell into the tour guiding thing. And that was, that was a bit better. I was able to get in on time as well. Yeah.
I think you learn a lot from these jobs. I was tempted to say shite jobs then, but like most jobs are shite. But you can try and learn things where you can learn them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's like what we were saying about, like, you know, hanging around people who aren't as like-minded as you know, opens you up a lot. Living at the cold face of life, you know, a little bit.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. And you know, like in every respect, it's like trying something new, you know, trying something different.
For sure.
And also, like, as you know, the music got busier, like between tours, it was kind of nice to like get your head out of what you've been at for the past few months, maybe, and put it into something else, you know. It's entirely different. It's just good for the soul, I think, to do that.
Are you full-time music now?
I'm full-time. I actually do a tiny bit of tour guiding still, but now with this new record, The End, that's come out, it's just gotten really busy again, and I just can't, I've no time anymore, so it's pretty much full-time now. It's
a great album.
Thanks, Giles.
It's pretty freaky.
Yeah
It's great.
Thanks very much.
And I wonder if you have to go to some places within yourself to dig that stuff up.
COVID-19 will do it. I wrote it during lockdown, so the new record was written kind of in sequence with how the track list is from, I think, November 2020 to around June 2021.
Right.
So it was right in the kind of height of it nearly.
Yeah.
And so it was written like, the first song is the first thing I wrote and recorded and demoed, like, before I took it to the studio later on. And the last song was the last song that I wrote. So it really tracks that period of my life, like. Yeah. And that's why it goes to some kind of more extreme areas. It touches the boundaries a bit more, maybe goes past them and I suppose I wasn't thinking about gigs as well. Like I wasn't. I was completely just immersed in what I needed to express. You know,
from like a production point of view, you're like, we can make this sound weird because maybe I'll never play it live.
Exactly, ever again. Yeah.
You a fan of Richard Dawson?
He's really good. Yeah,
there's a vibe of that in there. I mean, maybe I don't know if that's closed-minded or not of me to say, but like that's just what it reminded me of. Some parts of it.
Oh, cool.
Just the way that you're both able to kind of just stretch it. Stretch it wide.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of make your own world, build your own world. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of bands, artists just building their own world. Yeah. It's like a TV show or something, you know, like totally, we just get into it.
Yeah. And like when you're in this certain headspace, I kind of knew at the time, like this is a headspace I mightn't be in ever again. So just take advantage of it. So, and then I ended up just, I was like, I'm just going to treat this as an album, and like I mightn't get the chance again to start from scratch. So the start of one song would literally be completely influenced by the end of the previous song. So if the previous song ended a certain way, I'd literally start the next song in a way that would complement the end of the last song. And then went all the way up to track 10, and because like a lot of people, all I could do, I was down home in Kerry, all I could do was just walk around, do these huge long walks, got longer and longer, around like a rural landscape. That's where I'm from, Kilcummin, you know. But I, because of that, for the first, I kind of was forced to live in, you know, my folks' house, my childhood house, for the first time since I was a child. So I really had to like kind of reevaluate my relationship with my area, because I had been so inspired by it, but living up in Dublin, now I had to become inspired by it living there. So I do these big long walks, and I ended up looking at the landscape and noticing these rings in the earth. They're called ring forts. And I learned that they're like really well, they're known as fairy forts, and this goes back like God, nobody knows how long it goes back, but we say old people in the early 20th century, there's recordings of them all over the country in rural areas talking about getting lost in these ring forts. And I got really into listening to these recordings and reading the manuscripts of people's anecdotes, or, you know, not anecdotes, but they tell it as if it actually did happen to them. And I noticed that didn't matter where the story was, all around the country, a lot of them were the same, and they were saying the same things happened to them. So
what kind of things were they?
So basically, like, we'll say somebody'd be walking from their friend's house home through a field that they've walked 1,000 times before, and then maybe it could be the moment the light is fading and it's about to become night. They're walking away, they've walked loads of times, and then they suddenly lose their way and just get lost. They could even be outside their house and they just get completely lost, and then they're rolling around in the grass, could be for hours, and then all of a sudden they come to, stand up, and then, oh yeah, there's my house. That there's loads and loads and loads and loads of accounts of that, and
that's like some sci-fi shit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like it's very like, I mean, it goes back to mythology. They think it's because there used to be a tribe in like prehistory in Ireland called the Tuatha De Danann, and they were like a magical tribe. They lost this big battle, and they were banished from the country. But instead of leaving the country, they went underground into these circular earthen banks, and that's where they think that energy comes from. And then
love that.
And then local people just call them the fairies. So
do you believe in it? And I mean, I'm being serious.
Like, I'm not going to say I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard so many of these stories be the same, if not the same, saying the same things happen to them. And like, I grew up sort of with it in my head a lot, because my grandmother would tell me these stories absolutely 1000% as if they had happened to her. So would my uncles as well, and there was no like wink or nod. It was like, this is what happened to me. My grandmother told me when I was very, very young that she was walking down Ballycumber, which is the village she grew up in, and she heard a baby wailing from a pram, and there was no parent or guardian around the pram. She was like, what's going on here? She went up to the pram and was like, and looked in, and it was an old woman's face in the pram, like screaming like a baby. And my granny just ran all the way home. The next day, somebody in the locality died. And then her mother said, oh yeah, what happened to you? That was a banshee that you saw and that you heard there. And like a few of my uncles have had like experiences with banshees as well that are absolutely insane. So I grew up around that, you know, these things, and like it's sort of a thing. I think like you could laugh at it and things like that, but I think it is a lot of that stuff is people being more aware of their surroundings or something. I mean, something like looking into a pram and it's an old woman's face. That's pretty. That there might have been a little bit of hyperbole there. Maybe.
I don't think you make that up though.
Yeah, but like it's more things like things you'd see walking home, or like being led astray, things like that, or all these different stories you hear from old people from long ago. That I did when I researched this album. I think you don't hear about them anymore at all because there's so many distractions now. With the advent of electricity, they say these things stopped being reported, you know. Right. So that in itself I found really interesting, just how we're going into this age of information and bleeps and bloops and Wi-Fi and just lights, neon, all these distractions, and the things that are behind these things actually in some ways are much more important, much more powerful, and in the lives of people maybe before electricity were, you know, something that was as real as, you know, the air that they breathed, and something to be respected. That's the main thing.
I think that's a huge
respecting nature as well, you know. I think especially with the fairy forts. Like there's an incredible guy called Eddie Linehan. He's a Shanachie storyteller from Kerry, living in Clare. And there's a fairy bush. There was a fairy bush somewhere in Clare, I think outside Crusheen. And the council were planning to build a motorway, and the motorway was going to go through this tiny little bush. But I think it's called a sciach. I think somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. It's a fairy bush, so it's like charged with it's charged with this energy, and if you even cut off a little bit of a twig, you could be cursed, and it's no joke. Like really bad shit can happen to you. They were going to build a motorway right through this, and he found out about it, and he was like, oh no. And he's this old guy from Kerry, like living in Clare, and he wrote to the council and he was like, if you build a motorway through this bush, bad things are going to happen. And he pointed to another motorway that was built actually through a fairy bush or a fairy fort, where after the motorway was built on that exact spot, there would be like incidents all the time just on that stretch of road. So he pointed to that as evidence. The council were like, go away. You're talking shite there. Anyway, on with the motorway. But he kept at it, and he ended up writing an open letter that got in the front of the New York Times.
Wow.
And because of that, the motorway was built, but where that fairy bush is, the motorway goes around the bush. It's a tiny little bush, and Eddie Linehan did that.
Great.
And it's because of this fear around these charged parts of the rural landscape, you know. And
you gotta respect it.
You gotta respect it. And just to kind of finish with this stuff, just in terms of how it influenced the album, that thing of getting led astray in a fairy fort, I started kind of because it was at a very charged time, you know, the COVID lockdown, and everybody was on their phones all the time. I just thought the idea of getting led astray in a fairy fort, I just kept feeling like it was so similar to what was happening at the time, and for kind of what it felt like living in modern society, just feeling sort of lost, especially looking at things through the phone as well. You kind of don't know what's what, and you can just lose your mind in this way where you don't know where you are anymore. And that's how I felt we were now, like 5 years on from when I started writing the album. I still kind of feel that's kind of grown, like even more, that feeling that we're all lost in a way. But because I call the album The End, that's supposed to signify that moment when the person who's led astray comes to and can see their road home, you know. So that's why the album's called that, and it's supposed to be a positive the end as opposed to, you know, a negative way of using it.
I love it. Thank you for telling me all that and being open about it, because I think like part of the thing of being online all the time and maybe being a bit inwards is that you end up not telling these stories. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of easier to not.
Yeah, totally.
It's easier to not look like a freak or something. Yeah. You know?
No, it's you just kind of experience it most of the time, but it's like times of reflection that make you step back and kind of make kind of comparisons to different things.
Big time.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate chatting with you, Ronan.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Giles.
Time. I got one more question, which is I'm a big fan of work fuck-ups. I think playing music and working jobs in between gigs, in between tours, when you work in those jobs, you're not in the mindset of that job. You're probably thinking about something else. You're thinking about the gig or the weekend or the tour the next week.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any serious, or not serious necessarily, but like, work fuck-ups where you're like, or the kind of the maddest job that you had to do, just like those days where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? This is so far away from what I think I should be doing.
Well, like, let me see. I mean, God, I used to work as when I was about 16 or 17, I somehow got a job as a night porter in a hotel in Killarney. And
responsibility.
Huge responsibility. I didn't realise just how much of a responsibility it is to be a night porter, because I was also the day porter as well, which didn't make things easier. And during the day, there'd be different managers on. So during the day, as a day porter, everybody would be like, hurry up, come on, quicker.
Yeah.
And then as a night porter, the night porter managers would be like, what are you at, man? Slow down. Take it easy. You're going way too fast. Chill out. Look, sit down there. It's all good. So then you'd be there sitting down, doing nothing at the night. And you'd go into the day and they'd be like, come on, what are you doing sitting down? Come on. So that was tough. But one time, I think it was my first week working as the day porter. It shows you how green I was. I was called up to a room and they said they needed a help with something. And I was like, hopefully this is just, I don't know.
It's not a corset. I
had no skill sets at all. So I was like, hopefully they actually don't need me. But anyway, I went up, knocked on the door, and your man was like, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just, I just need to like put on my tie here. Would you mind just opening that bottle of red wine over there? The cork is in it and the corkscrew's beside it. And like I was 16 or 17, naive enough to never have done that before in my life.
Yeah.
So I picked up the corkscrew and I just started digging it into the cork like that. And then I started going like that. And then your man was just looking at me doing that and he was just like, give me that there. And he just did it himself in like 6 seconds, pop. And he was like, thanks a million. I was like,
you won't do that. You won't do that again.
And I just left with my tail between my legs. That was pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
I remember my first day at a radio station. They were like, can you make a pot of coffee? I'd never made a coffee with grounds before. And it's the smallest thing, but you feel like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, like I was asked for a flat white. I didn't even drink coffee at the time. I only drank coffee for the first time when I was 21. Is that kind of crazy? I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe not. I drink way too much of it now anyway. So I had to go to the bar manager and go, what is a flat white? And he was like, get out of my face. Just like, how do you have this job?
I got off, my brother came into a coffee job I was working at and he was just like, in front of the boss, he was like, this is the worst cup of coffee I've ever had. I was like, thank you, Will, my brother. Appreciate it.
I do love a bad cup of coffee though.
Well, I think sometimes a bad cup of coffee is better than a fancy
get it into you, get the caffeine in, no faff.
Inject into the veins.
Just inject it in, just pure caffeine. Instant coffee out of a sachet.
I think there's something about instant coffee,
Perfect, yeah.
Appreciate you, Ronan.
Yeah, thanks, Giles.
Thank you very much. Nice one.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.
My name is Percy Jackson. Getting in trouble is like breathing for me.
The hit series returns to Disney Plus and Hulu.
The danger is greater than you can possibly imagine.
What about Grover? Save Grover. Save camp.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians. New season now on Disney Plus and Hulu. Learn more at disneyplus.com/what's-on.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Welcome along to 101 Part-Time Jobs. Every single one of our episodes is available ad-free at our Patreon, patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs. I know that there are all these messages trying to sell you things that you may or may not want. So for £4 a month, that's around $5.50 US, you can get over 450 of our episodes and every single one in the future, featuring all the brilliant guests that we have week in, week out, completely ad-free. You can head to patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs, get all your episodes bother free, and you support us directly. Cheers.